rise up understanding that it is not over for you and that you're just learning something about yourself. You're learning something about your journey.
And he said, son, as long as you make sure that somebody else's life is okay, he said, your life will always be okay. And he got out of his truck and he left.
Good worker, hard worker, sincere. But you got to be better than sincere.
Uncle said, sir, we greatly appreciate it, but we just don't have the money for anything like that. And he pointed at me because I was standing right in front of the coach, and he said, his mother, that she's working a double shift at Wendy's, she definitely doesn't have it. And the coach said, I'll tell you what, if you bring him and the other three to the park, he pointed at my three younger cousins, you bring them to the park tomorrow, he said, I'll pay for it. Next day, my uncle brought us to the park. I stood there in line and I watched this guy that I didn't know from Adam take cash out of his own pocket. He paid for me and my three younger cousins to play ball, and in my family, the only people that went to college was me and my three younger cousins that he paid for in that street that day. But I wanted to understand the man behind the actions. Because where I came from, people didn't operate like that. Like most of the time, it's a catch-22. Like it's very rare that people do things and it's just pure, right? And it's just who they are, and it's their essence. And so one night when he took me home, I got out and I'm standing on the sidewalk, and my house was 125 Warren Street.
You're understanding that no matter what, failure is required. When these failures come, don't let it confuse you. Don't let it misuse you. Don't just accept it, but understand it. Understand that you got more work to do within yourself. And be strong enough and willing enough to do what is necessary to keep pushing.
The word quit. The word quit.
And I'm standing on the sidewalk in front of my house, and I said, Coach, can I ask you a question? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. And he gets out of his truck, he walks around face to face, and he said, what you got, Ink? I said, Coach, why do you do what you do? I said, because you don't just do it for me, you do it for any kid you meet that's in need. Like, this is just who you are. Like, I've watched you, I've studied you. Why do you really do what you do, and why do you live your life that way? And he said to me, he said, son, I'm gonna tell you something, and I don't want you to ever forget it. And it was so simple, but yet so profound. And he said, son, as long as you make sure that somebody else's life is okay, he said, your life will always be okay. And he got out in his truck and he left. And it shaped the trajectory of my life, because the way I processed it was, Ink, as long as what you do and what you're connected to serves a greater purpose than just yourself, son, you will always trample the opposition. You will always trample the adversity. You will always trample the challenges of life when people look at you and say, why do you view it the way that you do? I view it the way that I do because I understand the mission and the purpose that's attached to it. I'm here because I understand this one thing. Everybody I meet is fighting a battle that I know nothing about, and I don't have to change their life. I don't believe I'm that self-righteous, but if I could just leave them a little bit different and make them think why I respond and why I live my life the way that I do, my job is done.
You have so many people in this world right now that focuses on the word quit. Why do you feel that the word quit to be your best friend? Why do you allow that word quit to enter your mind? Because you failed at a few things, you want to quit. Because you didn't make the cut, you want to quit. There are many successful people in the world right now that went through all kinds of hell. People rejected them, gave them up, threw them away, but they came back with a vengeance. Now they're CEOs, billionaires. People didn't believe in them, but they didn't quit. So you have to understand that there are many people right now in this world that chooses the word quit over just working harder to get better.
And I'll never forget when I was a freshman in high school, I faced my toughest challenge as a kid. I attended Crim High School on the east side of Atlanta, Atlanta Public School. Some of you all may know about it. At the time when I was attending Crim, they called it Crime High in Atlanta. And when I was in the 8th grade, about the transition to my freshman year of high school, everybody knew I was an athlete, so they would ask me the question, Inky, do you want to go to college? I would say, of course. They would say, what high school are you going to? I would say, Crim. I said, man, don't nobody go to high school, go to college from Crim, man. You might want to go somewhere else. I said, it's right up the street from my house.
And I should know, in the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. perfect role for me, I thought, except for the fact that I can't sing. So I'm in the wings, I'm about to go on stage, but the guy in front of me, he's singing like Pavarotti. He's just, and he's just going on and on and on. And I'm just shrinking, I'm getting smaller and smaller. So they say, oh, thank you very much, and you'll be hearing from us. So I come out with my little sheet music, and it was Just My Imagination by the Temptations. That's what I came up with. So I hand it to the accompanist, and she looks at it and looks at me and looks out at the director and is like,
Now, if you're curious, let me give you 3 ways to find out how to change anything, any life direction, any dimension. Here's 3 ways to find out how to change anything. Number 1 is to read. Become a good reader. All of the successful people I know and work with around the world, they're all good readers. Curiosity drives them to read. They gotta know. They just read. Become a good reader. Now, that's my opinion. Listen to the other lecturers and listen to me and make up your own mind. Don't be a follower, be a student. Okay? I say, really, for life change, you gotta read. One way to learn is from your own experiences, but another way to learn is from other people's experiences.
so I start, I'm gonna sing. I'm like, this is my imagination once again, and then coming away with me. And I'm not saying anything, so I'm thinking I'm getting better. So I start getting into it. Running. They say, oh, yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Washington, thank you. So I assumed I didn't get the job. But the next part of the audition, he called me back. The next part of the audition is the acting part of the audition. So I'm like, hey, okay, maybe I can't sing, but I know I can act. So they pair me with this guy, and again, I didn't know about musical theater. And musical theater is big, so they can reach everyone all the way in the back of the stadium. And I'm more from a realistic, naturalistic kind of acting where you actually talk to the person next to you. So I don't know what my line was. My line was, well, hand me the cup. And his line was, well, I will hand you the cup, my dear. The cup will be there to be handed to you.
See, one book might save you 5 years if you read. Did you know there's books on how to be stronger, more decisive, be a speaker, be a leader, have a better effect on other people, develop your personality? Did you know there's books on that and people don't read them? How would you explain that? And they can read. Did you know that hundreds of successful people have written their stories in books and they wrote down how they did it and people don't read it? How would you explain that? The guy's busy, I guess. You get tied up. The guy says, well, yeah, you work where I work. By the time you struggle home, it's late. You got to eat a bite of supper, watch a little TV, get to bed. You can't sit up half the night reading. And the guy's behind on his car payment.